Hello there, my friend, and welcome back to yet another episode of Get Unstuck and Fucking Fabulous with me, Irene Lidwell. I am your host today, as always, and this is episode number 43. And today I will talk about something that no one talks about and in a glamorous way, especially not on social media. And it is about when your body says no, the hidden cost of pushing through. Well, it's not something that we want to talk about so often, but it has to do with success as well. And, success can come in many shapes and forms. So let's set the scene. Let's talk about something that no one glamorizes on Instagram or Pinterest or on Facebook. Because burnout is not just quotes, and bubble baths is not self-care. Sometimes it could be, but most of the time it's not. And not just rest, babe. That doesn't cut it. Because I want to talk to you about what actually happens when you are self-employed and you get sick or in an accident. Like I'm talking about properly sick or properly hurt. Not, I can still answer emails from bed sick, or I can push through with the green juice sick. But the kind of sick when your body quietly whispers and then becomes louder and says, enough, or you physically can't do anything and you don't really get a vote anymore. So here is the moment that stopped me. So here's what's happened. I had booked in for a laser treatment on my scar. I don't know if you know that I had a basal carcinoma removed from underneath my nose, and I had 6 stitches right in the middle of my face. Not so pretty. And it was nothing dramatic. It was a basal carcinoma. And you know what? They cut it out and it's gone, and it did not develop into a melanoma, which I'm very grateful for. And also very grateful for that I opted to go with the plastic surgeon because I didn't want to have a big scar in my face. But that's up to each and every one. You decide what you do with your face, and no one is going to judge you for it. It was nothing dramatic, just one of those things you plan. I was going in to have a treatment, a laser treatment, and I had scheduled and I was trying to move on. But when I arrived, my aesthetician took one look at me, and instead of ushering me in, she paused. She asked me how I was, and I said, "Oh, I've been sick, but I'm fine." The classic answer. Then she asked the question that really stopped me. "Irene, how long have you been unwell?" So I had to tell her the truth because I looked like crap. So I said, "I've been sick for over a month with influenza A, and I'm still not fully recovered. I'm still tired and I'm still flat. And, it's my eyes are burning and they're a bit puffy." And I was still pushing. She was absolutely a darling. And with absolute professionalism and care, she said, "Irene, I'm not comfortable treating you today. Your body hasn't recovered. This would be too much for your system." And just like that, I was sent home. And there was no rejection, and I felt really protected. And I was actually happy to leave and go home because I had been thinking about it. Should I really do this? And should I? And I had called the reception the day before telling them how I felt because I had my doubts. But they said, as long as I'm not infectious, I should come in, which I did, stupidly. But when I walked back to my car, I realized something confronting. I had started normalizing being run down because I'd been run down for so long. And I had adjusted my expectations downward instead of stopping. And if she hadn't intervened, I would have pushed through again. But here's the thing no one prepares you for when you are self employed. And this is really important. It is part of your success because having your own business, there is no sick leave, there is no HR department, there is no one tapping you on the shoulder saying, hey, maybe you should take a few days off. And there is no one paying you when you're not working. So if you don't work, you don't earn. And if you don't show up, things slows down. If you stop, the machine feels like it might break and the tires are falling off. So we do what women are very good at doing. We override our bodies. We actually intellectualize exhaustion. We spiritualize pushing through. We call it resilience, right? But let me be very clear here. Ignoring your body is not strength, it's delayed consequences. Do you hear me? Delayed consequences. Because what happens when you don't listen to your body? It doesn't just whisper louder, it actually starts collecting interest. Physically, recovery takes longer. Mentally, your clarity disappears. Emotionally, everything feels heavier than it should. And the big one, the financial. One small pause turns into a forced stop. And when you don't make money, you have to survive on money that you have put aside, right? Because you don't get sick leave. And this is the part we don't like to talk about. Burnout is expensive. Chronic stress is expensive. Ignoring your health costs more than rest of us ever will. Let me say that again. Ignoring your health costs more than rest and recovery ever will. Not just in money, but in confidence, creativity, joy, and momentum. And you know what? You don't bounce back from that easily. I'm not just talking physically now, I'm talking about financially too. So, do you have a stash of money stucked away for at least 2 months to be able to carry you just in case? An emergency fund, not just for 1 month, but for 2 months. I beg you, I really beg you to make sure that you do have an emergency fund and do not touch that unless it is absolutely necessary. Because it has to do with your confidence, your joy, and everything. Because, like I said, it's not easy to bounce back once you start to fall behind. So, having a rest is such a good strategy for success and for your business. And here's the reframe I want to offer you today. Rest is not quitting, rest is not weakness, and rest is not falling behind. Rest is a strategy because high-level women, as we are, don't just know how to work, we know when to stop, or don't we? And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for your business is to take your foot off the accelerator before the engine blows. Sometimes you have to change the oil in your car or the car is going to burn and the whole engine is going to blow. Same with you. Your nervous system is part of your business infrastructure and your health is part of your brand. Your energy is your most valuable asset. And if you don't protect it, no one else will. So, what are you going to do? Protect your brand, your health. is your biggest asset. I know letting go is hard, and letting go of deadlines, letting go of being the one that's reliable, and letting go of identity that says, oh, I can handle anything. But here's the truth, my friend. You don't have to prove your worth through exhaustion. You don't have to earn rest. You don't need to collapse before you're allowed to stop. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is lie down before you're forced to. Because you know what happens if you don't listen to universe? Universe will knock you off your perch and you will end up in bed. And can we just say this out loud? Martyrdom is not sexy at all, and burnout is not a personality trait, and running on fumes is not a flex. Elegance is sustainability, confidence is self-trust, and power is knowing when enough is enough. Because classy women don't grind themselves into the ground, they preserve themselves. So, the truth is, I know what you are thinking, but Irene, if I stop, everything stops. And here's what I want you to consider. What if slowing down now prevents a much longer shutdown later? What if rest is the thing that protects your income long term? What if honoring your body actually makes you more effective, not less? Short pauses are how you avoid long recoveries. Say that again. Short pauses are how you avoid long recoveries. You don't want long recoveries. That's what really pushes you over the edge. So here's your invitation today. If you are tired, I'm talking about really tired, please listen. And if your body feels heavy, pay attention. It's telling you something. If you've been almost better for weeks, but you're not, stop negotiating with yourself. You don't need permission. You don't need to justify it. You don't need to push one more day. Listen, girl, rest now so your body doesn't force you later. Being self-employed asks a lot of you, but you should never ask for your health as the price of success. You are not a machine and you are not replaceable, and your body is not your enemy. It's the messenger. And when you listen, really listen, you don't lose momentum. You gain longevity. So, rest well, recover fully, and come back stronger, not just busy. And with that, I will be back.